All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're setting the stage for what is, without a doubt, the greatest, and honestly, probably the most terrifying cosmic mystery of our time. We're going to zoom way out, look at the universe, look at our own history, and try to piece together a puzzle that has haunted scientists for decades. Okay, let's just dive right into this. 60 billion. Let that number sink in for a second. 60 billion. A recent study actually suggests there could be up to 60 billion planets sitting right in the habitable zones of our Milky Way galaxy alone. We're talking about regions with liquid water, energy, nutrients. Basically, the fundamental ingredients for life as we know it appear to be incredibly common everywhere we look. And that brings us to the ultimate, incredibly jarring question. If the basic building blocks for life are literally everywhere, why are we met with absolute cosmic silence? Seriously, our galaxy is teeming with potential, yet when we point our instruments up at the night sky, we hear absolutely nothing. So to kick off our cosmic detective story, we really need to start with part one, the great cosmic silence, and this massive problem of the evidence of absence. You've probably heard of the Fermi paradox, right? Named after the physicist Enrico Fermi. It's essentially this striking contradiction. We are living in a universe that is 13 billion years old, packed with hundreds of billions of suns and trillions of planets. With all that time and all those worlds, shouldn't some civilization have popped up millions or even a billion years ahead of us? Why hasn't some ancient alien empire essentially spray-painted its existence across the cosmos? I mean, theoretically, we should be seeing civilizations that rank way up on the Kardashev Scale. A Type 1 civilization accesses all the energy of its home planet. And just for context, we humans are currently sitting at about a 0.73 on that scale. Then you have Type 2, which harnesses the entire energy output of its home star using massive megastructures. And a Type 3, they control an entire galaxy. An alien race that advanced would literally look like gods to us. So where are they? To really put this into perspective, let's look at our own timeline. The Milky Way formed 13 billion years ago. Earth has been around for about 4.5 billion. But intelligent humans, we've only been kicking around for about 250,000 years, and we've only had long-distance communication tech for a century. On a galactic scale, we are absolute embryos. It is entirely possible that sprawling alien empires existed for millions of years, stretched across thousands of systems and completely died out, and we just missed the whole show. Which brings us to part two, theories of the empty sky. Let's run through the prime suspects behind this great silence. So one theory is that we just don't know how to listen. Imagine you're sitting alone in a massive, dark house tapping away on a Morse code transmitter. You keep sending messages, but nobody taps back, so you assume you're alone. But in reality, our communication tech might just be hilariously primitive. We could be totally undetectable to advanced species and completely deaf to the complex signals whizzing right past our heads every single day. Then you have this really stark contrast in theories. On one hand, there's the zoo hypothesis. This is the optimistic idea that aliens are basically zookeepers, intentionally hiding themselves and just peacefully observing us. But then there's a much more terrifying reality. Imagine the absolute smartest squirrel you can. You still couldn't explain human economics to it, right? To a squirrel, a tree is its whole universe. When humans clear-cut a forest, we don't do it because we hate squirrels, we just need the wood. A Type 3 civilization might casually evaporate our oceans just to harvest the hydrogen, wiping us out in an instant without a second thought. Or maybe the destruction is completely automated. Let's talk about von Neumann probes. These are theoretical, self-replicating nanomachines. You just give them 4 simple instructions. Find a planet with life, disassemble literally everything on it for raw materials, build replicas of yourself, and repeat. A doomsday machine caught in that simple loop could theoretically sterilize an entire galaxy in just a few million years. Exponential growth is terrifyingly powerful. But what if the answer isn't some alien superweapon roaming the stars? What if it's just baked into probability? That brings us to part 3, the Great Filter hypothesis. The core idea of the Great Filter is that there is some massive, highly improbable evolutionary hurdle somewhere between a barren rock and a galaxy-spanning civilization. It is a brutal gauntlet, and almost no potential civilization successfully makes it through. And here is the absolute most suspenseful pivot of this entire explainer. Where exactly is this filter? Have we, as humanity, already survived this incredibly rare statistical bottleneck in our distant past? Or is the Great Filter still waiting for us in the future? Are we driving straight toward a brick wall that destroys almost everyone? To explore the idea that the filter might actually be behind us, let's look at part 4, the bizarre biological fluke, or what scientists sometimes call the black hole of biology. So for billions of years, life on Earth consisted entirely of simple, single-celled prokaryotes, basically bacteria, and they were totally maxed out. You see, as a simple cell tries to get bigger and more complex, its energy demands outpace what it can physically generate on its surface. It hits a wall. But then, the eukaryotes showed up. These were complex cells with massive energy reserves, all thanks to internal power plants. How did that happen? Through this wild process called eukaryogenesis. Over 2 billion years ago, during a massive environmental cataclysm, one stressed-out archaea happened to swallow a bacterium. But it didn't digest it. Instead, they merged. That absorbed bacterium eventually became the mitochondria. This didn't just solve a biological energy crisis. It literally triggered an upgrade to life's operating system, unlocking immense genetic complexity. And this crazy transition happened at the absolute 11th hour of an evolutionary bottleneck. The implications here are just profound. Biologists refer to this as a colossal fluke. It appears to have happened exactly once in the entire history of Earth. So if this microscopic fusion was an incredibly rare 1 in a trillion accident, then it's highly likely most planets never made the leap. The whole galaxy might just be littered with worlds covered in boring slime molds and algae. And if that's the case, hey, great news. The Great Filter is firmly in our past. Actually, scratch that. We can't get too comfortable just yet. We need to pivot to part 5, the threat of self-destruction, and the very real possibility that we're heading straight for a future filter. Just think about the unavoidable hurdles any civilization has to face as it industrializes. Carl Sagan pointed this out years ago. As you become a technological society, you inevitably hit problems tied to physics itself. You alter your planet's climate, you rapidly deplete your resources, and crucially, to become a spacefaring species, you have to master nuclear physics, which means you immediately unlock the ability to blow yourselves up. We've only had that kind of power for a tiny fraction of our history, and we definitely haven't officially passed this test yet. If civilizations routinely fail to navigate these pressure cookers, the statistics get incredibly gloomy. Some theorize that the vast majority, maybe up to 99% of technological civilizations, just burn out or self-destruct shortly after they industrialize. Their lifespans are so incredibly brief on a cosmic scale that the chances of our radio windows overlapping are basically zero. So, as we wrap this explainer up, let's talk about part 6, the candle of consciousness, and what this all means for our cosmic responsibility. Look, because we have absolutely zero data proving anyone else is out there, the takeaway is pretty clear. We have to behave as if we are the only civilization currently alive in the Milky Way. Given the overwhelming silence of the cosmos, our failure to safely navigate our current technological and environmental bottlenecks wouldn't just be a localized tragedy for Earth. It could literally be a cosmic catastrophe. Think about it. If we are truly alone, our failure to overcome our own challenges could extinguish the candle of consciousness and our galaxy forever. The universe is unimaginably vast, and frankly, it's just too beautiful not to be experienced by someone. We might literally be the only ones left to witness it. So, I'll leave you with this one thought. Our future isn't just a matter of statistics anymore. It's entirely in our hands to either seize or squander. Will we successfully navigate our own great filter and become the first to reach the stars? Or are we just going to become another silent ruin in an empty sky? The answer is totally up to us. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep looking up and stay curious.